good afternoon. Almost seems like that question on GPT was, planned to be before this panel. But I assure you, we didn't know about this. So, and the elephant in the room, we finally address it right now, and we begin with threats. We've already started using AI automation in so many ways in the newsroom and in just life in general. I mean, you use AI to fill your emails, you want to just have a quick email reply or transcribe an interview, translate news stories, a lot of which already a lot of the heads from news publishers have told us that they're using it for translating content on their websites. But it's not without its threats or, let's say, concerns that need to be addressed, perhaps. And I would like to start with you, Puneet. I'm not going to ask you if AI is giving you sleepless nights, but what in particular about AI is possibly giving you sleepless nights? What's keeping you awake?
Well, I have a slightly different take on this. Is it giving me or giving our teams sleepless nights? Yes, it is. But that's because of the tremendous opportunities that it has potential to open up. And like with any new technology that is as pervasive as AI will supposed to be, and we still have to see how it evolves, specifically in context to media, and as we go along, what kind of training data does it work on, what kind of walled gardens emerge, and all of those things. So, that's a space which is very, very exciting, and that's a space which keeps us all having sleepless nights in anticipation on the opportunities. And I'm sure there will be challenges as we go along. You will see implementations of these at varied stages of evolution and sophistication, with some of the platforms leading the way, publishers like us who are all in our own way doing some stuff on experimentation, whether it's in form of generating content, editing videos, generating photographs from text, and all of those kind of things. And those things will evolve. So, at a high level, that's what I look at this whole space and how it will evolve, or we expect it to evolve. Yes, like a new technology ecosystem, we'll traverse a path which will have its own challenges, but I think that would be exciting as well.
Absolutely. Idris, if I can bring you in here, and like I said, I think instead of looking at it as a threat, if you looked at it as, now we know what the threat is, and perhaps if we prepared for it, then it's not a threat anymore, right? So what is skilling possibly one of the most important pillars of being prepared to use AI in news publishing and within newsrooms? And is it possibly time that we identify what are areas where we need to train everybody in the business so that we are able to use this?
So AI is just new, it's infant, and it will be over the time. We will know what form it takes and how it is going to affect us all. At this moment, that future is highly unpredictable. This is an opportunity, but it is also something which can bring disruption, a great disruption. So in context of publication, we have three options. Number one, not use it. If we don't use it, that is also a threat, because we will be outdated, we will be irrelevant. The second option is we use it. If we use it, it comes with different kind of threat. There will be few jobs which will no longer be needed. There will be flood of content, and there will be oversaturation of content supply. Advertisement is not growing at that rate, but the content creation is growing at that rate. And with help of this new technology, even micro publishers would emerge. They will give big competition to big organizations. The third option is misuse it. And there will be a lot of misuse. And that comes a lot of threat. It brings a lot of threat. Misuse of this would be disinformation, copyright infringement. And we have to analyze all these threats, and we have to mitigate all that. That's the only option I think we have.
Thank you. I think that sets the tone for the rest of the conversation. But before we get there, one thing I want to bring you in on, Faizan, here is what I've been reading so far, although this is all estimates right now, is if and when Google search, at least since Google is the most dominant search platform, and once Bard is integrated with it, then traffic to news websites can be throttled by 20 to 30% is what I have read on the internet, some very primitive analysis so far. With that happening, is it that we need to look at distribution very differently, Faizan? And I want to come to you with that, Puneet, again.
Okay, I'll share my perspective whether search traffic is going to get impacted or not, because I have got a little bit of different view on this. So whenever it comes to news publishing, we always say content is king. So everything evolves around the content. Now, this content, there are various ways users are coming to our portal, and search plays an important role. So when I ask this question to ourselves, is this something new which is coming? We have seen a smaller version of this like Alexa in 2016, Google Graph in 2012. And zero clicks always existed, and it will exist. It will exist. Then second question I ask you, what people search? People search navigational content, correct? Informational content and a transactional content. Who, what, when? If your non-news content is more, we need to re-look at it. Okay, what type of content we are publishing? Are we publishing more of a non-news content to drive traffic? Then it's a matter of concern for us. Because informational content is something which is going to get impacted, I'm sure on this. But a news content has got its own freshness. So if we are focusing on those, navigational content or a transactional content, I don't think it's going to be much more fearful situation for us, and we will be able to retain our traffic. And that discover will also play an important role, because that already traffic is shifting from search to discover in most of the cases.
Yeah, so, let's look at how publishers and all of us have dependency on Google and social for a lot of our lateral traffic. If you see that ecosystem, that has been evolving. We're talking about AI and Bard and the integration into search and all of those things. Will it have an impact? Yes, it may. Will it have an impact on news? We don't know. Will it have an impact on, as Faizan said, on information? Quite likely. But, go back 5-7 years. Google's been doing this with zero-click search already. Whether you're thinking looking up a stock price or a cricket score, now election results. They've been doing this. And so that throttles on already. But as you evolve that, it will also present opportunities on how are you able to plan your content. There will, and especially as far as news is concerned, there will always be a premium of freshness, reliability, and brand trust. And that is something which is not only as a publisher, for Google also, that will be also always very, very important, or for any of the platforms, because misinformation, fake news, and all of that is one of the biggest lacuna that these guys are really worried about. So I think that's how I see it evolving in terms of whether it will throttle. It could, but I don't know. No one. It's a conjecture. It's a 20%. Idris may say maybe 50%. We don't know that yet, and how that will evolve. The idea is actually to study and be engaged in how the broader ecosystem is evolving, both on the publisher side and also at a platform side, and see where the opportunities are emerging. If you are a trusted brand name, you will continue to find that traction. Yes, you may have to look at additional distribution channels and all of those things, but I mean, realistically, Google and social will continue to be lion's share of any source of traffic for all of us.
Okay, so it's not like mainstream news publications, not the niche ones which are already doing a lot of newsletter kind of distribution. It's not that tomorrow a Network 18 for just mainstream news needs a newsletter strategy, perhaps just because we are going to have generative AI come in and that's something you need to think of, or even revenue generation from the newsletter standpoint. Is that at all going to be too much of something that you're going to even think about right now, or it's too early to think about strategies of that sort?
No, we do newsletters already quite a bit, on money control, on News 18. So we do a fair bit of that, and that's actually, and again, to be frank, that's not a new strategy. It's something which a lot of us have been doing over years. That's more engagement and distribution mechanism. That's more about getting to understand your users better, because when you are sending a newsletter, you at least have an email. Then when you engage more, you tend to get a sense of, okay, what is this guy reading more, clicking more on? Maybe also do campaigns on getting some more information. In case of money control, we have a lot richer data. So that's something which is ongoing in any case, and it will continue to be a way to acquire. Is it a way to acquire new users? That's not necessarily the biggest use case for newsletter. It's more an engagement play that all of us really do the newsletters and everything, and then followed by subscription. When you get to for example, a Money Control Pro newsletter, we also open it up to very, very limited select advertiser set, at very, very high premium. And we are okay if that is not getting monetized for a period of 6 months, because our core business there is subscription.
Got it. Idris, you already said that there are 3 ways: either use it, don't use it, which is a threat in itself. So, I mean, given that we're all going to use it, that's definitely what it's going to be. What does the industry need to do to come together? Because there's already concerns of the duopoly that's out there, which does rest some amount of control over how much of the content that news websites publish is seen by users, etc. And now with generative AI coming in, there's also these LLM models being trained on the content that is created. You spend money, invest, and it's being created by news publishers. Now that's being used by a chat GPT or a Bard or whatever that may be to train the algorithm on. So there are those concerns that also come up. So is there a kind of roadmap that organizations are already planning out, saying these are concerns, we need to start addressing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you already have that? Where are you in that journey right now?
So the training part of any language model is that you can only train on the style of writing, but the information has to be provided. No matter how much training you do, the language model will not be able to predict what my prime minister is going to say the next day or what is going to happen the next day. So that is an information part of it. If we have original information, then that copyright or that owner of that article belongs to the person who has that information. The problem here is that most of us now don't create original information. And then we are just recreating the existing information and representing, redressing it. And that kind of publication, of course, will have a lot of impact. But if you are the original content creator, I think the copyright will be yours, and due credit and revenue sharing will be provided, even if it is delivered over a different platform, including Google or any other third party. That's what my take is.
Faizan, is that right? I mean, is that your understanding as well? What are initial conversations looking like about this?
So I think this can be best answered once we have that in front of us. Ki how basically that those GPT and BARD is working upon. But I have an interesting perspective to this. So the entire business revolves around what? Our users and our content. So I think I would like to give a much more dimension when we are doing research internally. Ki what kind of users are going to interact with BARD or a responsive information? You know, if you have to believe certain information, so there are certain limited concept of SEO also what we call as EAT. Whether you have that expertise to write those articles or not. Is this question addressed by those chat GPT or BARD? I don't think so, because he is not showing you from where he is getting those information. So you are not even sure if somebody who is reviewing a mobile phone, he is a tech geek or not. Second question is whether you have that authority. Google platform has the authority to showcase the content. But does it has the authority or a command like an IndiaTV has got? Is somebody coming from them, I need to believe them. Somebody coming from Network 18, need to believe them. And then the trustworthiness. Trustworthiness also comes from the platform. So I think it's too early to be prepared on the multiple dimension angle. I think it is better to wait, try and understand how these models are collecting information. And I would like to focus on two things. One, generating a unique content, and focusing on the users who are going to consume all these generative content we are going to get in future.
Puneet, if I can bring you in, what are conversations, how are conversations shaping up, both at a business strategy level and within newsrooms from a content standpoint on tackling, you know, the challenges with AI?
So let me put it in two parts. You know, one is the business conversations or the strategy part, and the other is how newsrooms are looking at it. And let's address the second part first. Is look, newsrooms are looking at being able to explore all the opportunities, all the tools that Gen AI and its allied products or services will open up for them. There are enough examples of people using them to write the first draft of articles, using them to showcase data around company reports. You may be aware of what Bloomberg's doing with a walled garden implementation of Gen AI. And overall, within the ecosystem, how are you able to use your own data in a walled garden to get more enriching insights about the usage of your content and the kind of users that is coming, and then obviously get into personalization and stuff like that. On the business side, you know, it's an evolving system. It's an evolving space, because you may have read about latest alliance in the US between NYT, IAC, and all of these guys have gotten together, and they are going to talk to the Microsofts and the Googles of the world to see, seek compensation or seek some sort of regulatory aspects to be implemented on the content, that their content being used to train and then subsequently showcased. Now, and the platforms say, yeah, we cannot discuss that because we don't even have a business model around it. So, you know, I think that is an aspect that will evolve as this becomes a little bit more pervasive, more tangible, real life, sustainable implementation examples emerge. And then the impact is calculated. Some of it has been done with a fair bit of success in India and across different geographies with Google and Facebook on the current set of how they use users' content and make large part of their advertising monies. maybe there is something similar that comes up in future, but we don't know that yet. I think that's something that will evolve. But look, the publishers and the platforms are two peas in a pod in that sense. So we will, I'm sure, find a way of working with the platforms as they will with us, because they need the content that we have lot more for them to be able to build any kind of LLM or any kind of other implementation. So I think there will be an evolution of how that engagement works out. Should be an interesting space to watch as we evolve.
Absolutely. And one more point I want us to, delve a little deeper is while AI is going to make efficiency of, how people work in newsrooms and generally across organizations much better. I think already somebody was saying that using GitHub to assist with writing code improves efficiency by about 30%. With that happening, I'm sure something similar will happen within the news publishing business, just the content business, but that also brings with it the threat of people losing jobs. Is that something that you're already dealing with within your organizations? How severe does that threat seem to you as we stand right now? And do you think in 6 months from now that threat might just look far more serious?
So, is it 6 months? Is it 3 months? We don't know yet, because all of us are starting to use this for various applications, from as simple as writing an article ground up to creating graphics and creating videos at the real high end. Will it get us the efficiencies and accuracy that we need, which is enough to replace people? Probably at some stage in the basic desk jobs, we may see some of that evolving. But especially in news, the editorial oversight will always be critical to have and maintain. And that I don't see ever getting replaced for all of us who are large brands, large news brands and publishers. That is a fundamental requirement. Some of the more basic stuff around multi-dimensional video cutting, multi-format content and all of that, yes, we'll be experimenting a lot of that. Will it lead to people losing their jobs? Probably that's maybe about 6 to 12 months out for us to be convinced enough of the proposition to take a call on, okay, this can replace people. The other way to look at it actually is, if you are able to reskill your teams, then you have the best of the both worlds.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This, if I can bring you in, since you have seen technology being adopted across industries, and this is something that's definitely going to happen in the news publishing world. Since the next panel is about opportunities, let's segue into that since we have just about a minute left. What is it that you're most hopeful about with AI being used in publishing?
We as human beings have been creating so many things which are better than us. We have car which can run better than us. We have aeroplane which can fly better than us. We have crane which can do better job than us. So far, what we were creating was all related to muscle and motors. The first time we have created something which can think better than us. This will have huge impact, very huge impact in everything we do. If we talk about news, what we do, we do the drafting, we do the collection, and we do the presentation. On all these aspects, machine can do the job. There is a flood, my reporter can go up to certain extent, but my drone can go further. It can capture the image which a human reporter cannot do it. It can count and see things which my human reporter cannot do it. It can bring that information which can be consumed by machine, which can comprehend that information, because that is what the comprehension part of AI is. And once it comprehends, it can think how to write that, and it can generate. That's what generative AI is. Then it can generate content, image, video, everything. So when we developed those muscular things and motor things, did we lose job? No. We change the job. We find a new job for human beings. So the issue here is not that there will be loss of the job. The real issue is that what is that new job which we are going to do? And that is not an easy answer and not an easy answer to that question. So we have to really think. Before machine thinks, we have to think that what is that new role we are going to take.
You've left us with great food for thought, and time's up. So let's wrap up this one and see if what the opportunities lie ahead of us with AI.